What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video I want to talk about Pokemon sealed investing versus singles investing. This is a big topic that I see in the hobby a lot, that a lot of people are trying to kind of argue a little bit, but there's different people in different circumstances. I feel like that one's better than the other, and this is all my opinion on what I do. As you can see, I mostly do sealed investing, so I'm going to lean towards one side, but I've thought about trying singles, but there's just a lot of different things with singles that I feel like it's a harder market to get into, and it's more of a lot more risk. So first thing is really the risks. I feel like is really with singles and stuff like that, and sealed doesn't really, I feel like it doesn't have that much risk. Honestly, it does, but it doesn't. Honestly, like singles, you have to kind of make sure you're picking the right ones, this, that, and the other. But with sealed, you just have to pick the right boxes. You see what I'm saying? The right sets. But with sealed too, you can just invest into every set, this, that, and the other, you know what I mean, and buy a couple boxes of every set, and you're fine. Singles, you can't really do that. I mean, you could potentially invest into like the top one or two cards in every single set, but at the end of the day, you don't really know which cards are really going to be like the top ones of the set. You do kind of potentially like when they first release, but sometimes the smaller cards can eventually kind of become a bigger cards. Typically it doesn't happen like that, but typically the first and second card that are the biggest when the singles come out with the sets is typically how they kind of play out normally. But you can kind of really play it and see what really goes best for you. And the thing about singles too that a lot of people don't like really realize, I feel like singles is more, you can do singles and take that risk whenever you have been more established, I feel like, and you have been in the hobby. Like, I wouldn't start out just flipping singles. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could, but like I said, the risk is a very amount of risk. But with sealed, after a while, you can kind of, I feel like the longer term, sealed just goes really well. Like, let's say you invest into a box, a booster box. Of course, within that first year, probably you have a little more risk there. But once time goes on, the risk goes down a lot more with sealed investing. For example, most boxes that you've seen over the last like 5 years or something like that, if you look at any box, buy a box when it first came out, in over 5 years, you haven't lost money. Some you've probably stayed similar, like where that, like I'd say like Vivid Voltage and everything like that. But if you've bought those at a good price, you're typically winning in most of those times with those products. So sealed products, over a certain time period, I feel like they will play out more. Just like, you will probably have some losers. Of course you will. Like I said, Vivid Voltage, Astral Radiance, those kind of boxes right now, Silver Tempest, those boxes are still for their market price, and they've been out for, I think, 3 to 4 years now. I think it's like 3 years. I don't know exactly, but it's typically around that area. You see, but they still have another 2 years, which they probably will sell out in the Pokemon Center by then. We'll see what happens. I don't really know. Singles, you kind of have that price point. I feel like singles, you have to sell those kind of as soon as possible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I won't say as soon as possible, but you have to, with singles, the thing about it is timing, really, and getting into the right ones. Like, for example, like the 151 Charizard, when it got to like around $150, that was a good point to buy that. But when it first came out, I think it was for around like 150, 160. Still, that area right there was still a pretty good price to come out. You could say that was going to be a big card, yeah, of course, but you know, the time period that you've done it, you probably double your money on the Charizard. But if you bought like 151 booster bonos or ETBs, you've already doubled your money on there. And with the sealed, you don't have that fluctuation of the prices really with it as it goes. Like the Charizard right now has dropped, I think, a good amount of price, and the sealed's still up there in price. You see what I'm saying? Because there's other cards in the set that are holding up. For example, the Pikachu from Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks Pikachu ran up in price. You could have bought it for $300, and if you sold it at the top like $600-700, you did really well. But right now it's dropping in price. But if you look at the sealed for Surging Sparks, the sealed is still steadily going up in price. It's still staying very strong. You know why? Because the Latios is holding up, the Pikachu, all the other cards in the set are really holding it to be strong. So with set buying, sealed investing, you don't really have to pick single cards. Sealed is just a sealed box. You see what I'm saying? You just got to make sure the set does good. Because if the cards, singles in the cards, typically, if the singles in the sets do good, typically the box does good. Like the Twilight Masquerade. Most of those cards are below $100, but the boxes are around like 160 to 170. It's in that price range. I think it's like 160 or like that, because the Greninja is like for $300. You see what I'm saying? Whenever Twilight Masquerade came out, nobody knew that the Greninja was going to be a very big card. But if you look at it now, it's a very big card. Some people probably guessed it and probably did buy it whenever it came out. I think it was selling for like $100 to $150, and now it's like $350, $375, around that area, that price point. So buying sets, you don't really have to pick the cards, because sometimes you don't really know what cards are going to do well. Can you do good at set card single picking? You could. Like, what I would suggest, and what I have done personally for myself, is whenever a new set goes out, do this as like a test. I would test yourself. You see what I'm saying? Like, test, be like, okay, Surging Sparks is coming out, I guess the Latios is going to do well. Okay, and just kind of think it in your mind, be like, hey, I'm thinking the Latias is going to do well, I would buy here and then kind of see and watch it how it goes. Could you actually, is it a lot more different than if you actually have the card in your hand? Yeah, it is, of course, but I wouldn't over leverage myself with singles. Singles, it's a very dangerous game because you can lose a lot of money in singles. You know what I mean? Like a lot of money in singles. But sealed, I feel like over time there's just no losing point with it. It honestly is. I know this video is kind of more skewed towards sealed, but like I said, it just works out for me, and I feel like it's a lot less risk. It really depends on your risk tolerance. That is really where it is. But if you're starting out into investing, sealed is kind of where you have to go. Like I said, until you get kind of established and you have a certain price point, like a certain amount of product and stuff like that, you can start taking some risk. You know what I mean? Once you start getting more higher dollar amounts, like maybe a couple $1,000s worth of product, then you can maybe take some risk on some singles because you are already established in sealed product. Taking risk on singles kind of is like, you know what I mean? You're just kind of throwing some stuff out there and just trying it out. And you know what I mean? You don't have to. The main thing with investing into singles is I wouldn't go crazy with it. If you do it, I would not go crazy into singles. Singles are one of the things that like you can get burned really, really fast on it. But I would honestly say to wait, to just try it out. If you want to try it out and do it. But go for like some lower tier cards, because there's some lower tier cards that really work sense. You don't have to buy the best card of every single set, but the lower tier cards, you're kind of in that point where you're like, oh, you're kind of taking more of a risk. You are, but there's more potential. You see what I'm saying? The more potential for the more risk. Me, I'm more risk averse. Like I like taking risk. Like buying all this Pokemon stuff right here is taking risk. I feel like it to me. But at the same time, I feel with sealed and stuff like that, it's just gonna work out over time. I believe in the Pokemon hobby and the Pokemon itself, community and stuff like that, or the Pokemon brand itself to grow over time. So I feel very comfortable with this. I know I have a Dragon Ball here, but yeah, you know, that's my only. I only have like 3 or 4 boxes of Dragon Ball. It was just to open, but these probably I'm just gonna keep sealed. But we'll move on from that. But what's it called? So sealed over time, I just feel like it really works out very well. But like I said, if you become established, you want to take a little bit of risk, go ahead and do it. Just don't over leverage yourself. That is where I see a lot of people messing up in singles. But I see a lot of people really do really well in singles. And the thing about singles is you have to watch it very, very closely. Like none of these boxes, none of the sealed product that I have, I don't really look at it that often. I honestly do. Like these Charizard 151 Charizard UPCs, I haven't looked at the price of those in a long time. The 151 UPCs, I've looked at them maybe like 3-4 weeks ago. Poly Evolve, I think I looked at it like 3-4, like a week or two ago whenever I made a video about all the Scarlet and Violet era sets. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's different type singles. You have to stay on top of it. Like, you know what I mean? You have to look at it every single day. I mean, I wouldn't say every single day, but at least a couple times a week to actually be able to know, okay, is my stock car starting to move up? Oh, should I take a little bit of profit here and there? I don't really know. And the big thing too, that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about investing into singles is the card quality. A lot of people don't talk about the card quality. Card quality is hard to get in singles. If you are going to invest into singles, this is my advice if I was to invest into singles, is make sure you are finding cards that are 10s. See, if you want to come at it from you're gonna buy the single and turn it to grading and do that kind of thing, I've never done it personally, but I've heard some people it works out really, really well. You know what I mean? That works out really well for people. There's actual videos out there and channels that say, hey, these cards are good to grade. You know what I mean? Like that. These cards you can buy for $10, and if it gets a PSA 10, it's gonna be like $100, and you cost a grading fee. You get like a 50% profit on it. You see what I'm saying? That part right there, I feel like is a better way to go than actually just buying singles and kind of flipping singles and stuff like that without grading them, because it's a really, really unless you can get them for good prices. You know what I mean? Like if you work at a card shows and stuff like that, and you're like vendors and stuff like that, that's a whole totally different thing. If you do that kind of side of thing, and you go to vendors and stuff like that, and you actually go to card shows and you're a vendor, I feel like singles are really well because you can buy them. The thing with singles there, like when you go to vendors or like card shows and stuff like that, you can buy as a vendor, you can buy them for like 80% or less than that, 75%, whatever you feel comfortable with buying. And sometimes if they're a really, really, really hot card, and once you've learned it, like for example Bulbasaur, if you want to do that, pay attention to what he does. The cards he buys, you have to know which cards are really, really hot. Like for example, right now the Pikachu from Surging Sparks is really, really hot. If you can get that for like $350, sell it for $500. You see what I'm saying? There's cards right there, but it's more of an active role in the hobby if you want to take that and do that kind of side of things. I don't really like that. I like just buying stuff and just holding it. Yes, it is kind of not a really way to the sealed. The bad thing about it is you are waiting a longer time period. Like for example, everything right here that I have in sealed is I have to wait for a longer time frame for it to happen. Some of these boxes I haven't had to wait that long. Like the 151 Japanese is pretty much like, I think it's like $80 a box, but I got these for like $55 a box. or 60 something dollars. I think it's around that area, but they've already gone up to like $80 a box right now. You see what I'm saying? I didn't expect to go up that, and I think it's went that in like 3 months. And Surging Sparks literally almost doubles my price, or I've gained like 60%, no, like 70% of profit off of Surging Sparks. And I didn't really, I was just like, hey, buy it, hold it, keep not really worried about it. I didn't even think the set was going to do so good. Yes, you in set picking or buying sets, the ones you really believe in, you can go heavier into. That's a big thing too. Singles, if you feel heavy about them, you can buy multiples of them. But that's the thing too, with singles, I feel like it's a very harder market to actually become successful in. But at the same time, people actually do it, you know what I mean? So let me know, what do you do? I know a lot of people go for sealed. Sealed is probably the best way, less risk, like I said. It is a longer time frame. And another big thing about sealed is having space. You know what I mean? Like, look how much, this is a lot of space. And I still have like this whole closet that's pretty much full. Like, sealed, I mean, singles, you literally just have this, you know what I mean? Like, you have a card and a sleeve, like in a top loader. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of thing like that. Like, it's like, it's very little space, which is a good thing. So if you want to try it, you know, there's pros and cons to both sides. Like I said, I prefer to have the space and take care of this stuff and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion, but I would love to hear y'all's opinion. What do you think is better, sealed investing or single investing? I know this videos have been more heavy towards sealed investing, but I feel like sealed investing is just, I don't like taking a lot of risk. I mean, I do. I like to take risk. Buying this, like I said, is taking risk to me, honestly. But I like kind of skewing my risk in my favor, if that makes sense. Like, feeling like the risk is more, I can make the risk not as risky, if that makes sense. So that's just my opinion on this. This is what I do. Sealed investing really works for me because I don't like picking cards. I don't like picking single cards. I just like buying it and selling it like that. You know what I mean? And if I want to sell the sealed, I sell the sealed. And then if I want to do like a rip and ship or this, that, and the other kind of thing like that, I can sell a seal like that and just go for the packs, sell the packs. There's all kind of different things you can do. But at the other thing too that I would say too is typically with singles is, well, it depends the singles now, you know what I mean, like that. Typically the seal is more expensive. So some singles are more expensive, like for example like the Pikachu and stuff like that. So it's really whatever works for you. Like I said, let me know what you think, which side do you think is a lot better, which side would you take more risk on. Just let me know. See you on the next one. Peace.